Namaste and welcome. It is Rishi here from meditatewithrishi.com, and today we are exploring the true meaning of yoga, because these days yoga has been popularized as very much as a physical exercise, and that's great. It is giving so many people so many health benefits, but the truth is that yoga is much more than that. Yoga essentially is the science of cultivating a peaceful mind. It is the science of enlightenment to help us come out of our human suffering, essentially. So when yoga is taught as just a physical exercise, it's kind of like if someone gives you a pizza, okay? Someone gives you a pizza and it smells incredible, but all you can do is smell it. You can't eat it. So although it smells incredible, the stomach is still hungry. The hunger is not being taken away. In the same way with this, the suffering of the mind is not being taken away. So to help you understand the true meaning of yoga, I want to take you back to the classical definition. The classical text on yoga is the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The great sage Patanjali has a very clear definition of yoga. He says that yogas chitta vritti nirodha, which means in very simple terms that yoga is the stopping of the mental chatter. Yoga is stopping the activities of the mind. To be in yoga essentially is to be in a state of no mind. Now you're probably thinking, what does that mean? If I'm in a state of no mind, if my mind is not there, if my mind disappears, then how am I going to function? Because I need my mind to function, right? And this is a common misunderstanding when we say no mind, when we say the mind becomes totally still. People think that you can't function. That's not true. The mind disappears, yes, but it simply disappears as your master. It remains as your servant. Right now, the opposite is happening. The mind is controlling us. The mind is overpowering us. And this is why we suffer so much. Now, I'll give you a few examples, right? Let's say you decide that you want to be present. The mind keeps on taking you to the past and the future. You decide that in your relationships, you don't want to be angry. You want to be peaceful. But when anger comes, it overpowers you and you become angry. You decide that you don't want to smoke or drink or eat junk food, but when the urge comes, again, it overpowers you. The mind is too much in control. You decide that you want to be disciplined and not procrastinate so you can be successful. Yet the urge to procrastinate is there, to waste time, and you do that and you don't end up achieving your goal. In all of these situations, ultimately the suffering is coming simply because the mind is making us do things that we don't really want to do. The intention is different, but the mind is overpowering, essentially. So yoga essentially is the science, the path of mastering the mind. And when you become the master of the mind naturally becomes really peaceful, because it only works when you tell it to work. And this is incredible, because when this happens, just think about it. If you are totally in control of your mind, on an outer level, you can essentially achieve anything that you want. You can become successful, you can create the kind of relationships that you want, you can create the kind of body that you want, you can do anything. But also, on the inner level, you become really peaceful because the mind is totally still. When the mind is still, you realize that the happiness that you've been seeking, chasing outside is actually a natural part of your being. It is your true nature. And when this happens, you essentially become somebody that is really peaceful, really loving, really compassionate. And this is the foundational principle of yoga. Before learning anything, any posture, any meditation, anything, the number one foundational principle of yoga is Ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence. It means living with the intention of non-harming. It means living in a way that is very compassionate, very loving, very peaceful, both for yourself and for all sentient beings. So to sum this video up, I'll give you the perfect example, okay, of the distinction between just physical yoga and actual yoga, the path of making the mind peaceful. Look at someone like the Dalai Lama, okay? The Dalai Lama, we know just by looking at him that this being is full of love, full of laughter. He has the kind of compassion that if everyone had, the world would be a completely peaceful place. Now, I imagine he does very little in the form of asanas or physical yoga, but he is a perfected yogi. He has the qualities of a peaceful mind and a really warm heart. This is the purpose of yoga, essentially. So, to sum it up, in essence, the real purpose of yoga is to make the mind extremely peaceful and to make your heart as big as the world. I really hope that this helps. If you like this type of content, make sure to subscribe because I'm going to be doing a lot more videos on this topic. And if you're someone that wants to actually learn, I teach a course in the yogic path of meditation called the Path to Stillness. You can head over to meditatewithrishi.com, book a consultation with me and see whether this is something that would be for you. Thank you very much for listening. Namaste.